mix this up a bit and shift because my height does not allow adequately moderating through that mic. But I'm going to just use this to set stage, to set context here. So we have leaders from the lifestyle and accessory segments. Typically, when we talk of fast fashion, we've not used accessories as having the same cyclical timelines or the supply chain optimizations or even the marketing rigor that we've often seen in apparel-driven brands, right? There are merits, of course, to the principles on which fast fashion runs, and what we would hope to explore in this panel is, are there opportunities within the accessories and lifestyle spaces to adopt some of these principles? We've of course we've had an introduction. The format of this panel will really be that we'll spend the next 25 minutes on exploring actionable insights on how accessory brands can build these categories to adopt certain principles of fast fashion, and then we'll have maybe a round of questions in the last few minutes, yes? So if I'm gonna start this off potentially with Avnish here. So Avnish, of course, is in the most premium of all the product segments here, which is precious and fine jewelry. And often on the precious and fine jewelry front, we're not necessarily looking at 24 drops in a year and some of those aspects, but maybe there's beauty in exploring the entire idea of, can we build multiple opportunities to purchase, something that fast fashion did really, really well, right? And they used the customer demand and cycle that into the supply side. So is that something that, Avnish, you see as a principle?
I just realized, am I audible? Okay. That I just realized that there is actually one principle of fast fashion which we have borrowed in CaratLane. So, we have this whole retention thing, right? If you think about it, jewelry is not a category which you buy all the time, right? Especially precious jewelry. So we would always worry that, you buy once and that the customer is lost. So how can we stay relevant for that customer? So we changed our retention metric to saying that how many times is a person coming back and buying, to saying how many times can we keep re-engaging with them. So find a reason to, be relevant for them so that they keep visiting your store even if they don't buy. And similarly, keep visiting your app or your website even if they don't buy. So one of the things that we actually do is that we actually have 24 drops in a year. And these might not be, mega collections which might get launched during a Dhanteras or an Akshaya Tritiya, which is tomorrow. But there will be small ideas. So there is something interesting which keeps getting launched every 2 weeks and which actually works for us. So there are enough women who do come and they might not buy, but they keep coming and browsing again. And it actually has helped our retention business. So that's at least one principle, I think, which has been borrowed from fast fashion, which works.
Superb. So I think one of the pieces that fast fashion is doing quite well is increasing a metric called buying frequency, right? We had spring, summer, and fall, winter as typical seasons, and that no longer stays. We have seasons, and then we have micro seasons, and we have multiple drops. We have quite a bit of representation in eyewear, and eyewear has become one such category where people are changing their eyewear with their looks, and so there are opportunities of something for day wear, I have a pair for brunch, I have a pair for work. So, Joe, I would love to hear from your point of view. Work with a very vast market base and across client bases. So, how do you imagine that this entire fashion cyclicity is coming into eyewear?
I think, yes, I am. Thank you for the introduction, and it's nice to be here. Thank you for joining us. I think with bbase in what we do, we are design and production. We work with a large portfolio of brands and fast fashion retailers. I have been really there from the inception of fast fashion, so I can speak to it quite clearly. I was in London when fast fashion really boomed, and I started then with the Topshops and Mango and Zara, and it was an exciting time. So the evolution of fast fashion, I think, is something that, we've been working in it, we've been shopping in it, we've been born in it since the 1990s. I think there's a lot to learn from the fast fashion that has already evolved. And when I look at understanding a little bit more about the Indian market and the opportunity that is here, also the emotion that I feel when we're talking fast fashion, and also the conversation around fast fashion, the opportunity is massive here in India, but there's a massive opportunity here to do it differently, to learn from the mistakes that have been made, whether it's through seasonality, the business modeling of fast fashion, because it's not going away, but I do believe there is great opportunity here to really own it in the way forward for India.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much. In contrast to, of course, CaratLane, which does precious jewelry, with Accessorize, Kumar, you've had the opportunity to do much more. The price is not a real barrier to success, especially from a fast fashion point of view. Because you have multiple categories within your portfolio of products, do you see the consumer buying behavior change, where there's anticipation that there will be that level of redundancy potentially, and then fashion cycles that come in?
Okay. So for us, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So for us, our store presents almost everything besides apparel that a woman needs to accessorize. So be it handbags, fashion jewelry, earring, necklace, bracelet, name it, hair accessories, scarves, footwear, anything and everything that a woman will need to accessorize themselves in addition to the clothes. Now, what we started to see that fashion was always there in our category from the very beginning. In most of the categories, but even a category like, say, hair, for example, which would initially be very basic led category, where you would probably have, you'll buy styles that you will wear for multiple number of times and not really investing much into fashion product. But that as a percentage has started to change quite a lot over a period of time. So not only that the categories which were always supposed to be fashionable and are still fashionable, then there are categories which have started to be much more fashion-led that were not initially fashion-led. And in everything else, it's about having newness or fashionable products available at all times and in regular drops. So, of course, we have those spring, summer, and autumn, winter as a major drops, but we have drops every month, likely every week, where we bring newness to our store. And within the newness, then some of it will continue, and some of them from a fashion point of view will start to become a basic fashion. That's also something very interesting for us, because their life cycle starts to be longer than what we would have earlier thought about them to be. So that is how we look at it.
Okay, fair. Priyanka, I'm going to pick your brain on both sides, but in this side, I want to talk more from a supply chain optimization, right? I think the magic of fast fashion truly came in on how responsive their supply chains were, that if the consumer demand shifted, the supply could respond quite adequately there. Of course, you work with a host of brands and also have a production side to your business, where how do you imagine, in the context of eyewear, the supply chain nimbleness can come in so that we can move more and more towards adopting this aspect of fast fashion?
Thank you so much, Apeksha, for the question. So we at GKB, we work with multi-brand portfolio, specifically in the premium and the luxury segment, where we've been seeing now a shift. Initially, fast fashion was not something that was very prevalent in our industry, specifically with our brand. However, now we've seen with the plethora of, trends coming in, and everybody wants to style their eyewear and make it occasion specific. So we've been seeing a lot of fast fashion come into the branded segment as well. So for our model, we work, in partnership with the brands. And that's where we have to work in a very integrated way with our partners as well, to ensure that there's timely replenishment, and there is we keep changing the inventory cycle. So of course, in luxury, I would say fast fashion is still not as prominent, but we've been seeing in the mid-segment brands that fast fashion is becoming increasingly. So we have a lot more collections now. Earlier, there were just 1 or 2 releases in the year. Now we have about at least 3 or 4 capsule collections that come out. So we've been seeing this growth, and very rightly mentioned, consumers, even though they don't end up buying, they like to browse, and they would come into a store multiple times and then finally make a decision eventually. But at least our engagement with our brand, and which comes through the collection and through the brands that we dispense, is very important, with the supply chain that we have adopted. So.
Superb, thank you. I'm going to pick the next segment of questions from the point of view of an aspiring brand. If you're in the accessory and lifestyle space and you want to begin thinking of it at the outset from a fast fashion point of view, what are the elements of this mix that can sort of set that brand up for success? So I'm going to come to you, Avnish, with this, and it may not be 100% directly linked to your particular business, but there's an aspect that you mentioned, which is your retention and having the consumer engage more with the business, right? Do you see and in fashion, for example, the way they're bringing consumers into the door is also through collaborations and partnerships with other tastemakers and curators. They could be designers, they could be completely different brands. So if you were to give give advice on how do we build multiplicity of purchase without diluting the brand proposition through partnerships, what does that potentially look like?
See, actually, I'll not for CaratLane, but actually there's a lot of relevance from what Shaya does. For those of you who don't know, Shaya is our in-house silver jewelry brand. So Shaya, what we realized is that a lot of people buy Shaya with whatever the ethnic wear or whatever fashion wear they were buying. So Shaya does a lot of collaborations and partnerships with ethnic wear and a lot of these new age fashion brands which are there, right, which are similar to the fast fashion category. And what we also see is that, you keep changing your fashion as per the trend. You also need, the accessorization with that. And for that, it's not necessarily what you need, new stuff every time, but somebody needs to tell you how to style it. Right. So Shaya actually has a lot of success by repurposing existing jewelry but styling it with whatever is trending.
Fabulous. So modularity also has been quite the reason why fast fashion has been successful, and we saw that with the entire athleisure space, especially where gym wear was no longer gym wear, it was also lounge wear and some of that, and I do see merit in looking at that from an accessories point of view. Thank you so much, Avnish. I'll come to Joe. Joe touched upon the point that we have the opportunity in accessories to skip all of the aspects of fast fashion that are less desirable, which is, of course, around the wastage and some of the forced redundancy that we have. So if we were to look at a new business wanting to emulate some aspects of fast fashion, but from a sustainability lens, what will be specific actionable things that you would advise them, Joe?
100% sustainable. Can you hear me? Sorry. 100% sustainable, no other question. Sustainability should now be a gift with purchase. Not only is it the right thing to do, but it's actually what the consumer now and future are looking for. It's the consumer that's going to be holding the wallet. So we have the ability now, more than what we did 10 years ago, to really look at our sustainable practice, whether it's through so many different avenues of how we begin our design and development, the materials that we're using for whatever product category that we want to be selling, the resource and how we're utilizing that resource, our methodology in the design and development process, right through to production with supply chain optimization, how we market it, and how we take it to market through technology and the digital aspects that we've spoken about over these 2 days. I think that now, really, as I say, there's so much that we have seen from fast fashion. We know consumer wants to shop in this way, but how do we make it better? And I think that we need to, not only how do we make it better, but we have to make it better. The material index that we provide for eyewear, as I say, my business is eyewear business, where we do the design and the production, but we have a material index, for example, where it is public, it is on our website and you can see it, but it was the first in the eyewear industry that is available for our buyers and our clients that really help to guide them in their material choices for the product category of eyewear. So I see this as I think through strategic alliance is really key, because through strategic alliance is where you find the partners that are able to support the steps of the process that collaboratively make it work to get the product that you want in a sustainable manner out into the market. To try and do everything together in-house is really difficult, but there's certainly experts out there that can. So I'm a great believer and supporter of strategic alliance. And I think that, as I say, the accessibility to process, to innovation, to materials, add together with that the strategic alliance partnerships, and really it's a great way to start and take a product to market.
Fabulous. Now, if we come to the go-to-market aspects of it, so Kumar, you obviously have a vast retail network and potentially trade online. How can accessory businesses and lifestyle segment businesses utilize the retail spaces in order to bring that entire repetition of purchase and matching and the trend-based communication to the consumer and the marketing side to the consumer?
So, our retail and online both remain very important. Now, there's a slight bit of difference between the retail model and an e-commerce model. The retail model is extremely fast fashion based, and there's a lot more change of styles at a much more regular interval. Because the space is limited to that extent. So styles come in, sell out, and then you have the new styles which keep getting launched. The life cycle of the product from an online perspective can be slightly longer than in a retail environment. In a retail environment, of course, you have your limited number of like-for-like products or like-to-like product, whatever you want to call it. That can be basis the fashion which probably arrived, which was ahead of its time, say, in India for larger, to an extent, or something which is sustaining far longer in India than, say, in other parts of the world. So both of them will continue to remain on the retail sales force front. And then from the perspective of sales, can also be dictating what should remain on the retail sales floor. But from an online perspective, because the space is not that much of a constraint to the extent that it is in retail physical on store, the life cycle of the product can be slightly longer. There will be more products which can remain far longer available to consumer and for far longer period of time than they would remain otherwise in a physical retail scenario.
Okay, fabulous. I'm going to bring this question to Priyanka from a marketing point of view. I think a huge aspect of why fast fashion has been successful is because from a communication standpoint, both through the use of influencer marketing, through celebrity partnerships and some of that, the general influence on the consumer psyche on what is trending and jumping onto current trends becomes a big influencing factor just pre-purchase. So do you, if you were to recommend to a brand to utilize these marketing tactics also for the segments that we are in, what would your recommendation be?
So for our segment, since we are in the premium and luxury front as a brand, we definitely work on the digital front, but I think we also tend to create more offline experiences for our customers in the store as well. because we believe that for us, shopping is really for our customers an experience, and it's something that they should treasure, and they should go back feeling like, that happy that they came and they bought something, and they were, got this. So we create experiences where we do a lot of brand-centered events in our stores, as well as we do, during the wedding season, we have a wedding edit where we showcase it's like a luxury trunk show. So I would say that, again, I wouldn't really put this in the context of fast fashion, but it does create impulse, and impulse buy really leads to fast fashion as well, because luxury is an emotion, so it's really in the moment. You're in the store, you feel powerful, you feel confident, you feel that this will really accentuate your personality, and that's when you end up buying a product. And then again, post-purchase, sometimes you regret it, sometimes you're happy about it. That's what I feel. But definitely, it's about making sure that buying decision is as, if a customer comes into a store and they're buying a product, it's not just a product they're buying our brand, and they're buying whatever it entails with it. So that's what has really worked for our industry, and we continue to dwell on that aspect.
I'm going to open the floor for questions, but before that, just a quick recap. We discussed in this particular panel, and because the specific requirement is how do you make sure that the insights are actionable, I'll just do a quick recap. On the one end, we discussed on the demand side, which is that as more and more trends are emerging, they're not just limited to apparel and footwear. We are seeing them across, of course, jewelry, eyewear, even hair, bags, and some of these products. This demand extends not just in the mass segments, but also extends right up to luxury. Within luxury, there is a lower cyclicity, but it is definitely increasing. There is more and more trend-based demand that is there. And on the other end, we discussed from a supply and the nimbleness of the supply chain point of view, which is that we respond to consumer demand faster. Our supply, our lead times and delivery lead times, etc., become more nimble in response to the changing cycles of these trends. And of course, on the last end, we discussed the go-to-market pieces. One comes in from brand partnerships and alliances that add freshness, add a new point of view, bring new customers into these businesses. Modularity of categories, so you have more than one way to purchase and more than one occasion to purchase, and definitely the go-to-market side, which is both across retail, e-commerce, using influencer marketing, using desirability of certain products. On the supply side, we also discussed that, and that it is time to do right by building sustainably and skipping all of the aspects of fast fashion that are problematic globally, and that's it. So we have the opportunity to ask a few questions. The fabulous panel, very diverse. So any questions that anybody might have? No? That's it from our end. On time.
You seem to answer all the questions.
Yeah, very knowledgeable.
Okay. Yeah, we were quite clear, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yes, we need more lifestyle brands to come in the industry. It's true, it's quite an empty space.
May I ask a question? Is there anybody in the audience that is actually creating a new brand in accessories right now? No one? Okay.
Fabulous, thank you.